Hey everybody, welcome to the Tesla Life, episode 36 for January 10th, 2018. My name is Russell Frost. I have the pleasure and privilege of being your host for tonight's journey into Tesla wonderfulness. But, as always, I am not alone. My wingman on this show, he lives in Canada, and I don't have anything better to say than that. Mr. Mark Coughlin. He lives in Canada?
That's it?
That was shitty. I mean, that's horrible. Why did I do that?
You could have at least said Chesterfield or something.
Yeah. Temperley. Level 2 charger. I don't
Welcome everyone to the show. Got a ton of news. So let's introduce the other panelists and see who else is joining us on this fun ride.
And he lives in Chicago. Or at least somewhere near there.
Somewhere near.
Tony Schaefer.
Well, like Mark said, there's a lot of stuff on the show, so don't waste your time on me. Get to Evan.
There we go. Well, our final contestant this evening not only owns 2 Teslas, he lives in Missouri. So, at an undisclosed location in Missouri. Yeah, we call him, as I say, Dr. Evan Fusco.
I may disclose that location a little later in the show, so we'll see. Stay tuned.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Well, I think Mark has the first story tonight.
I do. As everyone knows, Tesla announced their numbers recently. And what came out after the number released was they've now breached the 300,000 mark in total sales. So that's S, X, and 3s. And like a spattering, of course, of Roadsters in there as well, to total over 300,000 sales at this point. And also, as you may know or may not know, last quarter's sales, we were looking at about 15,200 S's, 13,120 X's, and the number that we were all waiting for and actually had a poll on our Twitter feed was the 3s at 1,550. So total Q4, 29,870, a new record, 27% increase over Q4 of 2016. So everything is firing, except it was a little bit disappointing for many of the reservation holders that are hoping the Model 3 number had gone up higher than what was actually reported. And of course, there was a number of Model 3s in transit. Over 800 of them were in transit, and of course will count towards Q1 sales. And Tesla had announced that if they're looking at the production amounts of Model 3s in the last few days of the quarter, they were able to hit 1,000 per week amount. If you extrapolate what they had done over those past few days. So I don't know if that's math, just moving of shells around or not. I guess we're going to see. The other disappointing thing was that they had, of course, indicated in Q3 that they hope to be reaching 5,000 units per week into the end of Q1. And that was announced that's been pushed off another 3 months. So they're not going to make that 5,000 amount anytime in Q1. They're now saying that is probably going to be hit in Q2. So what do you guys think? A lot of information in that. Some disappointment, some good news. What do you think?
Yeah. So one thing I want to point out, the 300,000 mark, that's a worldwide deliveries, and so for the U.S., I think they're still in around the 150 or so thousand mark. So that the tax credit in the U.S. will expire after doing all the math, the quarter after the quarter that they delivered the 200,000th car. So so use those numbers as you will.
There you go.
Right. You had mentioned, Mark, about extrapolating out to 1,000 a week, December kind of thing. And I had a manufacturing engineer tell me once, said anybody can do something really fast for a while,
Yeah.
It's maintaining that speed that is going to be, a heck of a challenge.
Yeah. So for them saying for a couple of days we were hitting 1,000 a week, they didn't even say they did it in a week. They said they did that over a couple of days. So
if we would have maintained peak performance, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we'll hear more in Q1 as they move along.
Yeah.
I'm curious how or if like Yo-Yo's trip will affect their production rate at all, given the number of issues that he encountered over on kind of the stress test of the vehicle in his short time. If they are willing to slow things down enough to try to get those fixed before they put a lot more vehicles out or not.
Good point. Do you think they're getting, well, we know they can. Are they pulling data off his car? I mean, not that he needs to know about it, because they are pulling data off his car.
Right. I'm sure they are. Yeah. It's just interesting because he had so many things come up. He had my first 3 years of ownership level of new owner bugs come up. And I mean, he certainly put that car through hell between the number of people getting in and out of it, and the weather conditions he drove through, and the almost continuous driving of that thing. I mean, I'm confident Tesla doesn't test any of their vehicles that way. They may day after day drive them, and they may put 10,000 miles on one somehow over some period of time in a lab. But to put that thing out in real world conditions and driving almost continuously for over 10,000 miles is an impressive test.
And just for people who maybe don't know, Yo-Yo is, of course, the gentleman that's driving the Model 3 across North America, and started just after Christmas, and I believe currently is somewhere in Utah, and heading towards the Pacific Northwest. And it will end up in back at the starting line in Fremont, I believe on the 13th of the month.
They may just tackle him when he gets there. Beating him with like baseball bats, Yeah, thanks for that. So,
all right. So, real quick, before we move on, 01010 in the chat room said, he said, "You hear it here first. Tesla will ship their 200,000th U.S. car on July 4th and declare independence from the incentives."
Love that person, whoever they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I know our binary friend. I don't know.
Our binary friend. Yes.
So, I mean, isn't the obvious conclusion from these stories that they're still in production hell?
I think they're not in. Obviously, there's still issues. Yes, there are still issues. I just don't know if it is as hellish as it was 3 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to know how you're defining what production hell is, but I got to think at this point they are feeling confident enough to start ramping things up that I think they're probably out of. They're on the downhill side of the slope. They've got a few rough spots ahead, but I got to think they're on the downhill side of this thing.
Because Evan, I have to take issue with you on something you said. I don't know that the Yo-Yo's drive is that much of a hellish, crazy stress test. Yes, he's driving a lot continuously, almost, and lots of people are driving it. But do you really think that no other car could do that?
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, but I'm saying that it's
the problems that
he's put easily a year's worth of driving under very strenuous conditions on that car in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's charged and depleted how many times? And how many?
He's over 10,000 miles right now.
Yeah, this is a massive test of any vehicle. And yeah, I think it's exposed some of the flaws in this thing that maybe aren't quite addressed as well as they'd like, that maybe other people wouldn't discover till after the first year of ownership. Especially if you lived in sunny California and didn't ever have to drive through sub-zero temperatures on snowy roads that were full of potholes and had 4,000 people getting in and out of your car at once. I mean, it's a very different environment. You can make things work when everything's nice and pretty, steady state, temperature control is good. You get to charge at a leisurely rate. Put that thing through a hell of a stress test.
Okay. Let that one go.
All right.
So, Evan, you're up next with a story about the Tesla trip planner.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So this was a story out of Electric that basically they just noticed that Tesla had launched a new, let's call it a feature on their web page that allows you to select your Tesla vehicle battery with the particular battery size for your vehicle and whether it's dual motor or performance, and then plot a trip from point A to point B. And it will tell you how long it takes you to get there, how long you have to charge at each stop, what your total travel time would be for that. And the apparent purpose of this is more as a marketing tool. So people that perhaps have some range anxiety or are concerned about how they would get from one favorite place to travel to another might negotiate that. I didn't really appreciate that the first time I got on. I thought, well, that's interesting. Let me see what it says for a trip that I might take. And one of my twin boys is already committed to go to college at Rhodes College in Memphis. And one of the frustrating trips that we've had is how to get to Memphis in our Tesla from our home in Nixon, Missouri. So I popped that route in there using the closest approximation to the car that I currently have. And this is the route. Is it showing me on there? Or
it's showing you Montreal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's showing the article.
That's the screenshot.
Yeah, can you pop up? I've got a screenshot that I want to share of my route.
Absolutely. There you go, sir.
This is the route that it plotted for my for my 5-hour drive from Springfield to Memphis in a conventional internal combustion vehicle. This is the route that Tesla would take me on to get there. Now, I wouldn't go that way, but it does give you some idea that perhaps at least my part of the country, this might not be the best marketing tool that they've ever employed.
Now, is that saying that between you and Memphis, that straight line route that's not shown, is that too far?
Yes, that's too far. That's about 290 miles, I think, on some fairly rural, hilly roads for a lot of that. And it's doable, and I've been campaigning to try to get a supercharger of some sort about halfway between either the West Plains, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, is about here, and then Jonesboro's here, and either one of those spots are fairly populous areas. There are some relatively, for this part of the country, big roads that go through there, and would accommodate making that run between Memphis and Springfield area. And Springfield's a pretty big town. We're third biggest in Missouri for whatever that's worth. But and obviously Memphis is a pretty big town. But currently there's no good way to get there from here. And entertainingly plotting in to Little Rock, which is
what, Evan? I'm sorry, but it seems like three sides of the square. Why wouldn't you backtrack to the 49 and then take the 40? And there's got to be superchargers on that route. 49 to the 40.
Oh, yeah.
So down on the bottom.
Go down.
So
go
there. You're right. There are not. The only supercharger near there would be down in Little Rock. So that's as close as you'll get. I can't figure out how to clear this. Let me put in Nick's little.
Okay, so I mean, I guess what I was asking was, so is this absolutely ridiculous, or is it just saying, hey, this is where the superchargers are? And
yeah, I think that was the point, to say here's the superchargers, and most people can get. But here's how they want me to go to
Little Rock.
Wow.
It's the other side of the horseshoe.
I'll have a nice visit to Oklahoma and Texas on my.
But look, you'll save $103 in gas by how many hours?
You have friends in Plano, so why not stop?
As well.
So yeah, but look, not to just beat the dead horse completely here, but I'm being dramatic because I want to emphasize the terrible nature of superchargers in my part of the country so far. But if you put in more common routes, it actually seems to do a pretty good job. And I do like the charging time estimates. I think those are useful for people to get a better idea of what to expect. And they're probably pretty realistic for the most part from what I'm
okay, Evan, how did you clear your route? I entered a route and now I can't get rid of it.
Yeah, there's I don't know, we'll see.
And of course, the people that don't own a Tesla currently, they can access that at tesla.com/trips, and you can try it out for yourself.
So, Tony, just click like on one of the points that you entered, like Little Rock, and then it'll have a clear thing that'll show up.
Oh, got it. Thanks. So here's another question, and David in the chat room asked about third-party chargers. I mean, we know there are third-party chargers, and if you have adapters, you could plug into those. But of course, Tesla is not advertising third-party chargers. But are other apps? Would you be able to do something similar?
Sure.
Off the top of my head, now I just blanked on the name of even
PlugShare.
PlugShare. There we go. Thank you.
PlugShare is good, and then EV Trip Router is a pretty good online tool that does a good job. That you can actually even enter some data that would, like your traveling speed and your estimated vehicle temperature and things like that, that will help plot those routes out for you. So yeah, this is not an advanced trip planning tool that Tesla has put on here. It is a quick overview that somewhat emulates what you might expect out of the navigation tool that's in the car, but it's not comprehensive, and there are better resources. In my case, getting to Little Rock, for instance, I know that there are some Tesla destination chargers in Conway, which is close enough that I can reach there and top off charging, make it the rest of the way to Little Rock. So there are definitely options for that. Unfortunately, there's not any good options still for Memphis, but yeah, there are a lot of other much better tools if you're seriously planning a trip that may take you through areas that are not well covered by superchargers.
And I think you mentioned this, Evan, but just to confirm, what we're seeing here on the website is not a lot of difference than what you would see if you plotted it inside your car.
Yeah, that's true. Now, it might still attempt to take you through non-supercharger routes, and you can cancel superchargers. But yeah, it's pretty similar in the way it's designed.
Because I've had other people that would like this web view to be able to like plan your trip on your computer in your house and then send it to your car. They thought would be really cool if they could. Now that's not available and it doesn't happen, but it's certainly something it could be done. But
right, yeah, I think that would be really great.
Yeah.
So one thing I did do real quick before we move on, I went ahead and I found what I thought at the time was the southernmost supercharger, which was San Juan del Rio in Mexico, and plotted from Chicago. And it actually says, we're working on getting you there. View supercharger locations coming soon. So I think the hard part is getting from Texas down to what looks to be San Luis de la Paz. Oh. So it does actually tell you if it can't get you there.
Well, that's good. I mean,
yep, doesn't leave you waiting.
Yeah, I mean, better than routing you and then you find out, oh, supercharger not in place yet. Oh,
yes.
If I was only here in April. Well, the next story I get to do, our friends at Electrek reported last week that and late last week, I should say, that Tesla had finally opened up the Model 3 configurator to other states other than California, the East Coast and the Midwest. And in fact, the updated article says it looks like pretty much every state outside of California was customers on the waiting list were getting emails to configure their Model 3 and get it going, which is certainly exciting. We can argue about how many they're actually producing, but opening up these pre-orders to be configured and ordered is a step in the right direction.
Absolutely. And it's kind of interesting to know that, they've jumped into the Midwest and to the Northeast and Southeast with these configuration emails. Is that a testament to possibly the package that they're selling out of the gate is not being taken as often as maybe they thought? Who knows? But it's interesting to see that they've opened it up to a wider audience. And I wonder how wide that audience will get before the other options start to roll in, because I've got my fingers crossed. Would they turn around and say, okay, people in Vancouver, Canada, will offer you the configuration now, because that's fairly close to the Fremont factory and it's on the West Coast. We don't know. We don't know where it's going to end or when the other options will start to roll in.
So a couple months ago, they had an option on the owner site that you could select what you were planning to order, whether you were planning to order a single motor or dual motor and those kinds of things. And at that time, I think it might have been for both of the vehicles that I had reserved at the time, I put down that I was planning on dual motor. And so it's kind of interesting that even as a 2 Tesla owner that reserved online opening day, that I haven't gotten an invite to configure. So I think you may be right that they probably are sending that configuration option, because it seems to be owners and it seems to be day one reservation holders. But what I haven't seen or heard is that all of those people that got that invitation, had they specifically selected, rear wheel drive only on when they had the opportunity to do that. And then so they're hitting those high likelihood to order folks early on.
I have heard on the web, there was a story of a gentleman who was, as you said, they're kind of waiting to get that offer. And he happened to be talking to a Tesla representative about something else. And they said, yeah, you had checked you want a dual motor on your, an original, I guess, notification.
Right.
He went into his thing and changed it and got a call from Tesla the next day. And so there is the option, I guess, to change it.
I don't know how he did that, though. He must have called somebody, because I can't figure out how to do that.
Evan wants a call, and he wants a call now.
I kind of do, just to get in the queue. Really, because I
would suggest reaching out to them, because he was able to do it somehow, and he got a call the next day.
Interesting, yeah. Because
I said, "Hey, you can't do that."
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing here that I can see that allows me to change anything now.
And of course, when I filled out mine, not being an initial Tesla owner, I had no option at all. All I could do was give them my $1,000 and move on. That's all the options I had.
Yeah. You had a 2-step process.
Yeah. It was 1, give us the money. 2, go away.
Yes. We'll let you know.
This is my reservation page, and it's very blank. I mean, my only option really listed there is to submit a request to cancel my reservation. There's nothing there that really lets me change it or anything else.
Okay, can you go to delivery estimate?
Where is that? Oh yeah.
Yeah, something called delivery estimate.
It's trying.
Uh-oh.
There we go.
No.
And let's see.
On the Tesla Live.
Can you pick first production? Is that an option?
Hang on, I don't have. It's not opening up for me.
You have your address and phone number on the screen, Evan.
Oh, I do. Oh. Here we go. Oh, so
So-
yeah, I guess I could change that. Huh?
Yeah. See, not even knowing the webpage, I knew that. How did you not know that?
I didn't know that.
Actually, David and Bruno in the chat room are saying, tell him to go to
yes, Tony.
Nice. Ah,
So that's how you can change it. Yeah. So that must have been what he did.
interesting.
Are you going to do it? Are you going to do it?
Should I do it right
Just
now?
click, just
Live?
click.
I don't know. Oh,
He did it.
Oh,
Done.
he did it.
oh.
And there's a phone call right now.
How many phone rings? Dr. Fusco, we have your car.
Wow. Do you see
Well,
that, David?
you will have to update us, and we will put that on the Twitter
Yeah, we'll
link
see.
if it
Maybe that'll
happens.
change everything.
Exactly.
Very interesting to see what that does.
Yeah.
I like experimenting during the show. That's
Someone does.
With Evan's stuff.
that's ballsy, man. That is ballsy. Well, I think Mark has the next story about Tesla sales, so I'm going to turn over to him.
Well, I've kind of combined that already by mistake with my original story of 300,000 units worldwide. So we'll probably just skip that, and Tony will move on with his story.
There we go. Thank you.
Okay, so here's one that I stumbled upon. It's not really a Tesla story per se, but it's something that we had been talking about before, where we were just kind of asking when are other manufacturers actually going to go full bore into electric vehicles. And we know that BMW has electric vehicles and Nissan has electric vehicles. Of course, Chevy with the Bolt, and Toyota had mentioned just recently that they were going to work on electric vehicles. But then Electrek on January the 8th posted about a research firm, KPMG, releasing their annual automotive executive survey. And according to them, more than half, which 54%, so just barely more than half of global auto executives say they believe battery electric vehicles will fail commercially due to infrastructure challenges. And then 60% say that excessive charging times will do them in. So, I mean, that's really the one key thing I just wanted to talk about here is, Tesla's proving that people will stand in line to buy these cars, and Tesla is resolving as best they can the infrastructure. And we know there's companies out there.
I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working at all. I can't see any cars out there that are working.
For those of you with the audio version, Evan is covering his eyes.
May have missed Evan's miming, but it was very
It was spot on. Yeah. It's how head in the sand do you have to be to see Bolts flying out, to see the Leafs and Teslas, and people just paying money to buy these cars and charging at home. You're worried about the infrastructure. Well, stop worrying about the infrastructure. People are just charging them at home and using the existing infrastructure.
Yeah, your garage. Yeah, like it's real simple.
Who's making money on these cars?
Well, they would. You get the initial purchase. You don't get the service calls every 3,000 miles, of course.
It's not as profitable. Bingo.
That's the reason why, in my opinion, why all the big companies are dragging their feet. It is such and forgive me for using this word, disruption. It changes everything. It changes all of their parts suppliers that they have, that they buy stuff from. It changes their dealer structure. It changes the way they sell them. It changes the servicing. It's so big that I think these car companies are going to drag their feet as long as they possibly can, because they don't want to deal with the change.
Yeah.
And it's horrible and it's reprehensible and it's not what customers want. The bullshit that we constantly hear is when people want them, we'll make them. That's bullshit. People want them. You're not making them.
Right.
And you think it's just easier for them to say that they predict they're going to fail than it is for them to say, we just don't want to do it.
Just say
because of course all those big wigs are attached to the stock price, and Absolutely. they can't say it's going to be successful and it's going to be wonderful and people are going to buy less parts. Like it's suicide for them to announce that.
It's easier to try to convince people that it will fail and that they don't need it, and than to try to figure out how to monetize the new industry to remain successful.
Who wants to be the CEO that stands up at their annual dealer meeting with thousands of happy dealers for the product and going, well, we're going to deploy a fleet of cars next year that's going to cut your service revenue by 70% in the next 36 months. Because all of these car dealers, and I say this metaphorically, are fat and comfortable and have big shiny dealerships and are not really looking for that challenge of how are we going to get this business and keep it going. They're like, no, screw that. F-150s, baby. Dodge Ram 1500s, whatever.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
My opinion.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And that's why I wanted to bring it on. So, just to show that there are still those people dragging their feet and just openly saying that they believe it's going to fail, which may be cover story for we don't want to do it.
For I want to keep my job.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's the best. We're not going to do it because it's going to fail. Oh, yeah. Okay. Then who would argue with that? Businesses always make the right decisions. Right. Who was alive? Who here was alive in the 70s with the American car business and the early 80s? When bad decision after bad decision followed.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Mark has the next story.
I got the next one, and it involves this nice little graphic that I will share.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love shared graphics.
And what we've got here is, again, from our friend Yo-Yo Shui. He collected some data on his 10,000 plus mile trip so far. And he has showed us that in the different temperatures, the efficiency rate drops like a rock in the Model 3, which is not a surprise to someone like me, a Canadian. I'm sure it's not a surprise to someone like Evan, who has experience with cold temperatures as well. Russell can't say anything about that.
You skipped Chicago on the way from Canada to Missouri.
And the Windy City certainly knows a thing or two about cold weather. So certainly Yo-Yo coming through Ontario was a bit surprised, Quebec through Ontario, about the amount that his efficiency dropped. As you can see here on this chart, 57% efficiency from a high of 78 or 79 area. So that is a huge drop off the cliff for someone that comes from California and is used to not having these type of efficiencies hit their car in such weather conditions. But with my Chevy Volt, with all the other electric cars that are out there, they all face the same problem. Battery chemistry does drop off a cliff after you get below a certain temperature, and that's physics. You can't change it.
Yeah. So, and as far, I actually asked how the efficiency was calculated on these, and that was based on the rated predicted efficiency versus what his actual was. So what percentage he got of the EPA rated, basically. And yeah, those numbers don't surprise me at all. I mean, those are right on, I think, real world experience that you just get a massive hit. It's in the summer, you can drive anywhere between 100 Fahrenheit and 70 Fahrenheit. Big swing in there, and there's no efficiency drop. But man, as soon as you start hitting about 30 degrees Fahrenheit, it takes a massive hit, and your numbers jump.
And that's exactly what he shows here. And I was just going to say, from 0 to -10, that's a full 11, 10.5 efficiency percent drop.
Yeah,
and right there, like you said, 30% Fahrenheit or 30 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 centigrade, and then
I think it's very consistent. Yeah.
And what's interesting, and you guys can slap me if you disagree with this scientifically,
if
but
only I could.
Yeah, if only everyone in our audience could.
Well, lean a little closer to the camera, Russell.
Not that close. Not that close.
Thousands of people across the United States slap at their computers. No, but I mean, so ironically, the cold is less deleterious to the battery. It has less wear and tear than the heat does. even though you don't lose efficiency in the hotter weather, it puts more wear and tear on the battery. In the long run, the heat is actually worse for it than the cold.
It depends how high and how cold.
Yeah, Nissan learned that lesson.
Yes, yeah. If they're not prepared for it, certainly hot can be more damaging than cold.
Yeah,
because in a situation where it's really cold, the battery will freeze and will stop functioning altogether. But once it's thawed out, it'll start working again.
Yeah.
So, and Yo-Yo had I don't know if it was a video or a part of it. One of his charges, his battery was so cold, he plugged in, and it took, I think it was like 25 minutes for the first mile of range to be put on the battery. And,
yeah, he didn't even think it was plugged in properly,
right?
Because nothing was happening.
It was like an hour before there was a measurable amount of energy being delivered to the battery.
Maybe it was so cold the electrons were just coming in that slowly.
Now, one thing I have found out since that point is that apparently in the S and the X, they both have a battery warmer, a 6 kilowatt battery warmer that's in the pack or close to it or designed to heat the pack. In the 3, there is no one. It has just the 6 kilowatt for the cabin heater, and it's supposed to be using excess heat that it gets from that and maybe other electronics to heat the battery pack. So that's a change or a departure on the 3 compared to the S and the X. But that little news tip came from Trevor at Model 3 Owners Club that I was able to find out earlier today. So that was quite interesting. That obviously there is a cost savings measure involved with it, but obviously Tesla engineers believe that the excess heat that they have will be enough. But that will be something that will be tested shortly.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, hopefully by thousands of cars.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, if we don't find out this winter, we'll definitely find out next winter when there are thousands of 3s on the road.
But that's interesting because Tesla just introduced the preheating feature on the app. If you turn on your car, is that I hadn't heard. Does that not turn on for the 3?
Yeah, there's no. They mentioned that there was no mode to. There's a savings mode in the S and the X when you feel that the cabin is, or you're using too much heat. So there's some sort of a savings ability on the S and the X.
Yeah.
Yeah, range mode. The 3 doesn't have that as well.
Interesting.
So yeah, it's just something I learned today, and it'll be interesting to see what. Who knows? Maybe that's why they're not going to offer they're offering in New York State and anywhere else. So I was just thinking maybe it's just us. They're going to get maybe a different configuration for maybe a winter package or something. But that kind of thing still could happen as well. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
Go. There you go. Well, next up, I think we have
me.
Next up, we have a video from Mark. And Mark, I'm all ready to play the video if you like.
Yeah, perfect. Go right ahead, Russell. That would be fantastic.
Run this video then. So
as mentioned already, Yo-Yo had been through many parts of North America and dropped close to my town in Woodstock, Ontario. And I and Ian from Small Dog Studios went out to meet him and brave the cold. It was at this point somewhere about minus 18 or 19 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
So that's cold. That's damn cold in Fahrenheit as well.
Yeah, that's a negative something in Fahrenheit.
And we were in this not well-lit truck stop where the Tesla Superchargers are located, and the high beams you see is the Model 3 showing up.
There it is.
And what was great is Yo-Yo is running an application in his car that you can track him exactly where he is at any point. It's called Glimpse, and it's on his Facebook page that you can link to. And you can see where he's going, how fast he's going, and when he will arrive. And it was great to follow him in. And
looking at him, it's
yeah. So it's yeah, as you can see, the snow was coming down too. It was bone chilling that night. It was about 8 p.m. on a Friday night. Last Friday it was.
That is so Canadian. You know what I mean?
And there was probably 14 of us standing out in the cold waiting for this car to arrive.
And somebody's already shooting video of the interior.
Everybody's like, let me in your car. I'm freezing.
Yeah.
And he went and plugged it in immediately, and then made a statement, a couple statements about the car and some experiences that he's had, and then started, of course, to take questions from the crowd, which was great.
Let's see. There's some crowd.
There's some crowd. And then after answering a bunch of questions, he had indicated that we would be able to sit in the car if we want. He opened up the doors that we could sit where we would like. He was going to sit in the passenger seat and perform some of his live blogging that he's been doing. And there he is, and some people in the back.
Everybody's blogging in the car.
Everybody's blogging in the car. And he answered some more questions, of course, in the car as people took a look around. And then what was really fantastic is he gave us some test drives. A couple of people actually got to drive the car, and then he actually gave a bunch of test ride-alongs, which I was able to participate. Here I am in the front seat, and we're heading out onto the road. And at this set of lights here, we're just waiting for it, and it launches out of the gate, and I was shocked in snow and ice how fast this car grabbed the road in a two-wheel drive version, or I'm sorry, a rear-wheel drive version, and zipped up the road. And we got up to about 100 kilometers an hour or 60 miles an hour. And then a police car showed up.
Surprise, huh?
But we joke. It was just an ambulance, and we were to turn around and not get a speeding ticket.
Did you follow him?
Oh, we followed them back. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And, so it was great. But what I really took for the whole experience, or one of the big things that I took away, was the rear-wheel drive with the Tesla traction control was fantastic. I don't think all-wheel drive would be required in where I am, Ontario, with snow and ice. As long as you had a set of snow tires, that car stuck to the road like it was on rails.
Do I send someone else changing their reservation time?
So it was really, really nice to see that, and I wouldn't have believed that until I actually did it. So I got to experience it on snow-covered roads, and I was shocked with how well it performed out of the gate like that with a rear-wheel drive model with snow tires.
Snow tires is the key. I think our own Paul Guzik had posted something about that. Snow tires are more important than all-wheel drive.
Right.
Exactly.
Not all season tires, snow tires.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, was that after he'd gotten his snow tires that you rode with him?
Yes, he picked up his snow tires in Montreal and then drove to Toronto and Woodstock area the next day.
Okay.
So he had them on when it arrived in Woodstock.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was a great experience. And again, I want to thank Yo-Yo for actually doing it. What a fantastic thing to do. Certainly allowed many hundreds, if not thousands of people to see a car that they wouldn't normally see in the time frame that they were able to see it. So a big thank you from the show to him. And we've asked Yo-Yo to appear on the show once he gets back from this momentous tour, and hopefully get some rest.
Yeah. Hopefully it's a couple of months off.
Where is he from exactly? Do you remember? Do you know? Is he California?
He's a native Californian. Yes.
Yeah. And did he have to buy a coat? Did you take him to the Salvation Army or something?
He had a coat with him, and I was glad to see that. We provided him with a scarf from the show, and
nice.
Here's a scarf to keep you warm. So.
You can buy a coat here. It's amazing.
Yeah, but it's a windbreaker.
Hey, I do want to
a coat.
I do want to share real quick a picture Yo-Yo put up, which I thought was really cool. He took a picture of sex. You all will recognize this.
That would be sex at a supercharger.
Sex at a supercharger. Yeah, yeah. You wouldn't think
Show
it.
title. Show title.
There you go. So yeah, you can see here's a the Model S, the Model 3, and the Model X, all right next to each other. And of course, he's split in a lane. Just for the sake of the picture, calm down.
Yeah, the picture was orchestrated, I'm sure.
Let's not post him on the ISOL's Facebook page. Okay?
Right. That would be funny to post this picture on the ISOL's page. And
hey, so one other thing about Yo-Yo, he just posted about an hour ago that he expects to have his Europe road trip map posted by next week.
Wow.
So
He's insane.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How's he going to get the car to Europe?
He's going to ship it. He's going to.
You're kidding me.
No, that new set of Atlantic Ocean superchargers have not opened yet. So he has to ship it.
He's not going to get a car in Europe. He's going to freight that vehicle to Europe.
Just use the new Tesla travel app.
So
I know, you're just bullshitting me. But
it's actually a good piece. You know, he will have to have a special adapter, I believe, right, to use the superchargers in Europe. Well, he's over there because they use a different
supercharger profile, right?
Yeah, there's a picture. I guess I can share this too. Of the adapter, what it looks like. He'd spied this one while he was out and about somewhere.
That's why he was asking about that. I was wondering why he was asking about that adapter. I'm like, why do you need an adapter for a Tesla supercharger? Now I get it.
Yeah. So that's the deal.
That's
okay.
Very good.
Wow.
Yeah, the guys in the chat, David is saying it's not hard to do. Military families ship cars overseas all the time.
Sure they do. But because that's their job and they get subsidies.
Not because we're on a 4-week tour.
So the question is,
drive.
But do you think it's possible, and it just might be, he could get sponsors? So you think we could sponsor him?
No.
We could use our entire budget.
After we start getting paid, absolutely.
Yeah. We don't have any sponsors. What are you talking about? No.
Simple answer. There we go.
No.
So is he going to ship it across the country again back to the Atlantic? Or is he going to put it on a boat and goes to the canal? How long does it take to get there?
Oh man, it would be quite a time. Like, wouldn't that be like something like 8 weeks or something? Like when Toyota is shipping from Japan, isn't that like a 2-month process to get it to the States?
I just don't know that I'd ship my vehicle, my brand new vehicle. I mean, you talk about driving it and people in.
Hey, 4,000 people in the car. It's no longer new.
Putting it in a boat. I mean, a level of abuse. I know. No. You put 9,000 miles on a brand new car doing the same stupid thing. No, I'm not.
Well, we're glad he did it anyways.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to following him in
Europe as well. Yes. So, Tony, what do you got for us?
Yeah,
yes, I do, in fact. And throwing a picture here. So Elon had tweeted out that he said, and I quote, "Gonna put an old school drive-in, roller skates, and rock restaurant at one of the new Tesla Supercharger locations in LA." And so of course, then someone tweeted back at him. Drew Olenoff tweeted back, "Please say there will be popcorn." Elon says, "Of course," and an outdoor screen that plays a highlight reel of the best scenes in movie history. I mean, at this point, you're wondering, is he just winging it? But he'll find a way, I'm sure of it.
Well, I would say that all you have to do is stare at the top of his Falcon Heavy rocket and wonder if he's winging it or not, because it seems that his Roadster ended up at the top of that. Everyone thought that was a bit of a joke, and it looks like it's going to be reality.
Right. Or the Model S that was used for the Oh, it was the Extinction movie. Shoot, I'm losing it right now. I'm trying to come off the top of my head. But they mounted a projector in the in the front, and they would shoot the movie up against walls using that powered by
So it was like the portable projector.
Yeah. And then the final tweet, which is funny, a guy had tweeted, we'll be able to order from the Tesla touchscreen, right? And Elon says, good idea. We can just have the menu pop up as soon as you put the car in park. So they're like geofence, and you pull in and the car automatically gives you the menu and you can order, and then
someone comes out on roller skates and delivers your meal.
Yeah.
That would be so sweet.
I know, right?
Why is that cool?
Because nobody else could possibly do that.
Oh, no one can have a drive-in? Are you kidding me?
With a pop-up screen on the menu and roller skaters, really?
Cool as it would be at the Tesla charger.
I'm sorry, I just don't get this one. I don't get this at all. I would rather go in and out and get a great burger, okay?
No, because we have said time and time again that if it's going to take you an hour or so to charge your car, you have to make sure the charger is near something to give people something to do.
Yes, we have said that. I've said that. I for restaurants and whatnot, but I don't need to eat a Tesla burger with somebody.
Russell, do you have kids you need to chase off your lawn?
Good night.
If you have to ask, you don't get it.
Fine. I got nothing. No, that's it. But
I do think it would be cool that in addition to showing movies, they should be able to stream the movies to the screens in the car. So maybe the kids could watch a movie in the car. And now, granted, the movie would be sideways because the
depends on which car you're in, right?
Model
Depends
3.
on which car.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. I just thought this was hilarious. I just saw this and I just started laughing. And part of it, I was thinking, only Elon would think to put an old school roller skate drive-through at a Supercharger. And then I thought about it and I thought, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. And I would go there.
Yep. I would too. Absolutely. It's a spectacle type thing.
Right.
Well, speaking of spectacles. Speaking of spectacles, he says, I have some more video. This is a little bit of video, and you're going to see what it is. What is it? Yes.
Bullets.
It's little bullets, faster than bullets from a machine gun. Mr. Doug Robinson on YouTube, we're just borrowing a little bit of this here, has some video of Gigafactory producing 2170 cells. Look at all that go. Woo! Fast. Yes. And this video is a minute and a half of this, basically, over and over.
And it loops, like every 20 seconds it loops. Yeah.
You're not going to see a lot more. So we're gonna cut that and go to the other part. This comes from an Inside EV story where Elon had said some months ago about the batteries would be coming out as fast as bullets from a machine gun. And it turns out that, in a sense, what they're planning on doing with these batteries, the way they're assembling them is somewhat similar to that. The way they attach bullets to a belt and then wind that belt back and forth to fill a space. The belt also has a coolant in it that helps with the thermal management of the batteries, which is obvious and very sensible. And it's a very cool idea. We'll see, obviously how it holds up and how it works, but it's a pretty cool little plan to start with. Obviously, this is just Model 3, not Model S3X, because they use a different battery. But there it is anyway. I just wanted to share that with everybody because I thought it was kind of fun. And
they're saying they're going to use some sort of glue to glue it to the belt, and that will give it the ability to cool down quicker because there's more, I guess, surface area attached to the belt, which is liquid cooled.
An adhesive thermal paste, I believe, is the technical term.
Which, I didn't learn a lot in college, but I did learn thermodynamics, which was you can throw a bunch of bottles of beer in a cooler of ice, and it'll take a very long time for those bottles to cool down. But you throw in some water, and there you got it.
More surface area being touched.
Exactly. That is why the thermal glue is going to help the coolant. In this case, they're using glycol. The thermal glue, better than a mechanical connection, is going to give more surface area to transfer the cooling from the glycol to the battery. So if you learn nothing from this show, it's that you should always put water in the cooler with the ice when you throw in your beers.
If you put salt in there, it'll cool even faster.
Right, salt.
Not that I've been told.
Yeah,
You've been told.
Don't drink the glycol.
Next. Oh. Before we poison an entire nation of children, please. I think, let's see, Mark has the next story.
I think we're going to skip over the Cannonball and move on to the Gigafactory 2 in Buffalo as it starts to produce solar panels, and more installations are starting to take place. So it was reported recently, just a couple days ago, that Buffalo has started to ramp up and produce the solar panels that we have heard so much about, but seen so little of. So they're starting to produce those cells on those tiles. And there have been reports of others starting to get notification about installation for their house or their businesses that aren't necessarily Tesla employees, which have been, to this point, the only ones who have gotten a solar roof at this point. So it's good to see that things are ramping up, and the Buffalo Gigafactory 2 is now starting to produce what it was built for.
Yeah, these roofs look great to me. The one, the tile shaker looking one, I guess, with the notched corners.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, those look great. The one thing that I'm missing, though, that I don't fully understand, I have yet to see the details as to how they all collectively collect and move the electricity.
Yeah, what's the connection between all the tiles?
Yeah, I mean, with a solar panel, of course, you have one big cable that comes out and maybe connects them all together in series or however. But in this case, I just want to know, how do all the tiles interlock so that you're making an electrical connection, and then that all gets connected and wired into something? I just want to know.
Like Elon's going to share that patent process with you. Okay,
I'm sure an email is on the way.
Yeah.
All right.
You tweet to him.
Yep.
Just don't mention my name, please. Thank you. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And the smooth glass roof is gorgeous. But they're all pretty roofs. And it will be interesting to see these things out in public. Getting, again, like the Model 3, getting to people other than employees.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we can get more roofs, currently, essentially wasted space, actually doing something productive, that's, yeah, put that to use and take some weight off the grid.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's about it, except for, I think, Evan, do you have some late breaking news?
Yeah. So yes, this interesting story out of the well-known automotive online magazine Christian Today appears to have listened to approximately 10 seconds of the show about every 2 minutes and cobbled together this fascinating story about how Tesla Model 3's production deadline has been pushed back to June. He cites no references, no sources, no information whatsoever about how he came up upon this fascinating information. And in one paragraph, he says that the production hell is largely due to the factory's inability to successfully establish and integrate the solar panel roofs feature on the Tesla 3. So far, the roofs have not worked well enough to get past the development stage, and is causing the company billions of dollars.
Billions.
Yes. So there's never been any word about a solar roof. That's never been suggested that that will be an option. Tesla and Elon have repeatedly said that they don't think it makes sense to put a solar roof on the cars. And I have no idea where the story came from. But the last sentence is quite telling. And that as of now, the market value of Tesla is still considerably high, which is worth about $53 billion. So this seems to be some guy that's trying to short them and couldn't find anywhere else to get this horrible story as far as I can tell.
And really, like if he's trying to be a shorter, he's not even doing a good job at that. Like, it's horrible.
Yeah, I don't know.
Unbelievable. and that is the joke of the week.
Yes.
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you.
Everybody update your subscription to Christian Today's.
And Christian Today has nothing to do with the Christian Science Monitor, which actually does some fine journalistic work. Okay? Christian Today is a totally different thing. Let's just be clear on that. Just because they both start with the same word doesn't mean
Oh, got it.
some shout outs and go home, gentlemen. I'm tie-tie. With you.
Russell needs some scotch between the shows here.
Yeah, I definitely I scotch, rum, whiskey, heroin, whatever. It's all good.
Whichever comes first.
I meant vodka. Sorry. Evan, any shout outs this week?
No, I've got no shout outs. Though, we'll see this little experiment with changing my reservation to the earliest available. We'll see what happens. I'll keep everyone abreast.
That'll be awesome if you get a call.
Check the Facebook page, and I'll let everybody know there. If
exactly. Please send me a text if they call you this week.
Okay.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer, Tony.
Hey, I want to start off with Curtis in our chat room because I forgot to shout him out before. But we have all the regulars: David, our binary friend, JT, Dennis, and Ken, Bruno, Derek, and it's just fun to chat with everyone. And you're throwing out some good information while you're there, and we're certainly glad you chose to spend your evening with us. Was that Evan getting mail?
Yeah, that was Evan getting mail. Sorry. Yes, his Model 3 configuration has arrived.
Yeah, I can.
That's what I was checking for.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, live.
It's not here yet.
Okay, not yet.
That's your fanboy. I love it.
Okay, I'm going to make a fake mail account as soon as we're done with the show.
Please reply with your credit card number. Oh, wait. No. Hey, Mark, I bet you have some shout outs, my friend.
I wanted to thank everyone in Tesla Nation that's following us. Please continue, or if you're not, please follow us on our Twitter account at The Tesla Life, on our Facebook account, Tesla Life #1. And of course, most importantly, if you're watching this program, please subscribe to the show on our YouTube channel, The Tesla Life Show, and press the little button that says subscribe, and you'll get automatic alerts as soon as this show goes live, as many of you did today. And thank you very much for watching us, and look forward to next week's show.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to drag it other than to say thanks, as always, to Lee Moon, who composed, performed, and allows us to play the theme music for this show for absolutely no charge. Thanks, Lee. Thanks to everybody in the chat room. Thank you to Evan, Tony, and Mark for showing up and having a great show. We covered a lot of news this week, guys. Nicely done.
A lot of it, yeah.
Maybe it'll slow down by next week.
Golf clap. Okay. Good, gentlemen. And all I have left to say is find out what's going on next week in the Tesla Life. Tune in, and we'll be back. See ya. Up. There we go. We're out of here. Bye-bye.